Welcome everybody. In this video I want to talk to you about jazz music, more specifically about the 1950s jazz. The jazz of 1950s is like a spark that lit the fire of the musical revolution, a period of incredible transformation and experimentation. This decade witnessed the birth and the evolution of numerous styles within jazz, resulting in a era characterized by explosive creativity and diversity. The post-war cultural atmosphere, together with technological advances, provide the fertile ground for this extraordinary artistic flowering. At the beginning of the decade, the predominant style was bebop, characterized by frenetic rhythms, harmonic complexity, and improvisational virtuosity. Artists such as Charlie Parker and Dizzy-Gillespie were true pioneers, pushing the boundaries of jazz music beyond the conventions established by the swing era. However, the density and intensity of bebop pushed many musicians to seek new expressions, leading to the birth of a cool jazz. More relaxed and melodic, cool jazz offers a generally softer sound and a more refined harmonic conception. Albums like Miles Davis' Birth of the Cool embody this transition toward a more cerebral and refined aesthetic. At the same time, the West Coast extended the vocabulary of cool jazz, incorporating classical music influence and characteristic chamber sounds. Musicians such as Chet Baker and Jerry Mulligan contributed to this current, offering a distinct and influential interpretation of jazz that transcended geographic definition, despite the name. The mid-1950s saw the emergence of hard bop, a response to both bebop and cool jazz. With roots in blues and gospel, hard bop was distinguished by its raw emotionality and rhythmic richness. Art Blakey and Horace Silver were among the founders of this style, which aimed to reconnect jazz with its African-American heritage and audience base. Also important in this decade was the rise of modal jazz, in which music was based on scales or modes rather than conventional harmonic progressions. Miles Davis' Kind of Blue is the definitive example of this style, offering a new space for improvisation based on color and atmosphere rather than harmonic tension. The late 1950s witnessed the first steps of the avant-garde and free jazz, with artists such as Ornettecoleman and C.C. Taylor defying all previous musical conventions. This movement aimed at completely freeing jazz music from the fixed structures, laid the foundation for the freer explorations of the 1960s and beyond. The 1950s in jazz were not just a time of great music, they were years of audacity and experimentation, which marked the transition of jazz from popular entertainment to sophisticated and varied art. Every style and every album of this time helped shape not only the destiny of jazz, but also the modern music in general. But let's get to what by all accounts can be considered the best 10 albums of this period. Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, The Shape of Jazz to Come by Ornette-Coleman, Saxophone Colossus, sonnyrollins, Brilliant Corner, Theloniousmonk, Mingus Home by Mingus, Ellington at the Newport, the Duke Ellington, Work Time by sonnyrollins, Cliffordbrown and maxroach by Cliffordbrown and maxroach, Time Out by the davebrubeck Quartet, and Something Else by Cannonballadderley. But let's look at them all briefly. Kind of Blue, Miles Davis, 1959. Miles Davis' album Kind of Blues is an indelible masterpiece in the history of jazz. Recorded in just 2 days, this album introduces modern jazz, turning the traditional chord-based harmony of jazz in his head. It also saw the participation of jazz giants such as saxophonist John Coltrane and pianist Billy Evans, but also composers. The album vibrates with an eternal atmosphere, introducing pieces like So What and Blue and Green, which have become jazz standards. This album is an open window into the soul, truly inviting the listener to get lost in its depths. Another album is Mingus at Home by Charles Mingus, 1959. Mingus at Home is the synthesizer of Charles Mingus' expressiveness as a composer and double bass player. The album exudes Mingus' passion for social justice, African American history, and his musical influence ranging from gospel to blues to pure jazz. With tracks like Goodbye Purple Head, Mingus pays homage to jazz greats of the past while boldly pioneer new sounds. We now come to Ellington at the Newport by Duke Ellington, 1956. This isn't just an album, it is an historical event. Duke Ellington is his orchestra's performance at the 1956 Newport Jazz Festival is one of the most electrifying in the history of jazz. Paul Gonsalves' legendary solo on Diminuendo and Crescendo in Blue literally revived Ellington's career, setting audiences ablaze and reaffirming Ellington as a jazz giant. It's an album that captures the magic of live, where the music is palpable in every note. The seventh album is still by Sonny Rollins, Work Time, from 1955. On Work Time, Rollins demonstrates why he's considered one of the most influential tenor saxophonists in jazz. His technique, his tone, his phrasing ability transform each song into a work of art. His repertoire, ranging from standards to original pieces, show the breadth of his expressiveness and his unmistakable jazz voice. Continuing, we find Clifford Brown and Max Roach by Clifford Brown and Max Roach, 1954 album. Here there is the union between Clifford Brown's trumpet mastery and Max Roach's percussive power. This album is an institution in bop. The synergy between the two artists and the magnificent arrangements produce a sound that is complicated and at the same time absolutely fluid. Sounds like Joy Spring and how became jazz standards, testament to the brilliance of Brown and Roach. Cannot be missing from this list Time Out by davebrubeck Quartet, 1959. Time Out is revolutionary for his use of unusual tempos, uncommon in American jazz at the time. From the pulsating Tech 5 in 5 quarters, which I personally love, to the seductive Blue Rondo alla Turk in night 8s. Brubeck and his quartet demonstrate that jazz can travel across any time and cultural space, remaining deeply engaging. This album expands the boundaries of jazz, bringing to the new and vast audience. And finally, Something Else by Cannonballadderley, 1958. Something Else is a stellar collaboration between Cannonballadderley and Miles Davis, featuring Ann Jones, Sam Jones, and Art Blakey. Adderley, known for his soulful approach to the alto sax, shine through a set that range from blues to hard bop with Disarm Easy. This album, especially with tracks like Autumn Leaves and the title track, is a flowing dialogue between jazz jets. each at the top of the game. Well, this album concludes the brief summary of this 10 masterpiece. In the next videos, I will delve a little deeper into each of them. Thanks for following until the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please leave a like. And at this point, all you have to do is listen or re-listen to any of these masterpieces to immerse yourself in the groove of the 50s. Enjoy listening.